Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Council of Commissioners regular meeting of Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. Could I have roll call, please?
11 present, 0 absent, 1 presiding.
Thank you, Sadie. I'm just so proud to say that we have a full house today. Commissioner Anderson is back amongst us, looking pretty sharp, I'll say that. So welcome back, Bill. Okay, prayer and the pledge, Commissioner Sorich, please join us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fellow Commissioners, Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. I would now ask for approval of the minutes of the meeting that occurred on October 5th, 2022. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I move to approve the minutes from the October 5th, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes that occurred on October 5th, 2022 regular meeting. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. On items not addressed on the agenda, we do have 2 additional items that we will put at the end of our communications. We're going to have the suspension of the rules to add 2022-525 and 2022-526. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In accordance with the provisions of Section 6 of Rule 6 of the Rules of Business of the Council of Commissioners of the City and County of Butte-Silver, State of Montana, the Council hereby finds that an emergency condition exists which requires that the Council rules be suspended to allow Communication 2022-525 to be added to the agenda of the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting of Council. The reason for the suspension is as follows. Communication number 2022-525 is a communication from Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher requesting authorization for Tim Leahy with the United States Forest Service to give a presentation at the October 26, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting to provide an update on the fuel reduction program in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest. This communication was not submitted by the deadline for the October 19th, 2022 meeting because Mr. Leahy did not contact the Chief Executive regarding this presentation until after the deadline. However, it is in order to allow this presentation to occur, the Chief Executive is requesting the communication be added to the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting Council agenda. Based upon foregoing and to allow this matter to be acted upon, the Council hereby finds that an emergency exists which requires the suspension of the rules, suspension of the Council rules to add the communication to the agenda for the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting. I move to approve the suspension of the rules to consider placing communication number 2022-525 on the agenda at the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the suspension of the rules to add communication 2022-525 to tonight's agenda. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Anyone care to change your vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. And we're moving on to the second item that's put on the agenda tonight. Commissioner Frederickson.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. In accordance with the provisions of Section 6 of Rule 6 of the Rules of Business of the Council of Commissioners of the City and County of Butte-Silver, State of Montana, the Council hereby finds that an emergency condition exists which requires that the Council rules be suspended to allow Communication 2022-526 to be added to the agenda of the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting of the Council. The reason for the suspension is as follows. Communication number 2022-526 is a communication from Community Development Director Karen Burns requesting authorization for the chief executive to sign a film agreement with Bongo LLC to film at the original mine yard. This communication was not submitted by the deadline for the October 19th, 2022 meeting because Ms. Burns did not receive the final version of this agreement from Bongo LLC until after the deadline. However, as the agreement contemplates the filming to occur during October 2022, Ms. Burns is requesting this communication be added to the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting council agenda. Based upon the foregoing and to allow this matter to be acted upon, the council hereby finds that an emergency exists which requires the suspension of the council rules to add communication number 2022-526 to the agenda for the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting. I move to approve the suspension of the rules to consider placing communication number 2022-526 on the agenda at the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting.
We have a motion and a second to approve the suspension of the rules to place communication 2022-526 on tonight's agenda. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Okay, and as you know, we'll add these on after we do the consent agenda. We will address those two items. So at this time now, I would ask the Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher, he did give me a report to have read into the record. So Sadie, if you don't mind doing that for me, please.
I want to thank Madam Chair for leading tonight's meeting. I apologize for not being present for tonight's meeting. I am absent because I am attending my son's graduation from United States Navy boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois. This is a special event for my wife and I because of our son's accomplishment and because I graduated from the Naval Boot Camp 37 years ago at Great Lakes. It will be interesting to see how things have changed. Tonight, the commissioners will be asked to accept the committee recommendation of the development at 123, 125, and 135 East Park. The committee, that was made up of Butte-Silver Bow officials and Butte Rescue Mission officials, looked closely at all three of the proposals and determined that the Luke Anderson / Up Top proposal was the highest rated development due to several factors. One, the proposed investment of $7 million. Two, the design to fit the character of the Uptown District, working with our historic preservation officer. Three, the fact they will have an anchor tenant up top is a well-established and known brand in Montana that will occupy a large portion of the new development. Four, the taxable value of this new development is estimated to be approximately $100,000 a year. This is an opportunity to see a fantastic development in Uptown Butte. Butte-Silver Bow has been leading the charge in our effort to combat the fentanyl epidemic in our community and in the state. The Town Pump Charitable Foundation has donated $100,000 to start a local campaign to shock and educate our community in southwest Montana about the impacts of opioids and fentanyl in our community. In the last month, there have been at least 5 meetings and 2 trainings, with the latest happening this last Monday, working with the Montana Health Alliance to help BSB develop a strategic plan as we move forward. The community participation has been amazing and has gained the recognition of the governor when he came to Butte and made the statement that Butte is leading the state in response to the fentanyl crisis. We continue to work with the Affordable Housing Committee to come up with local solutions in response to affordable housing. I will give a more complete update on this at my next Chief Executive's report. I once again apologize for not being available for tonight's meeting. Have a great meeting.
Thank you, Sadie. Okay, moving on. At this point in the meeting, I would call for any public comment on any item that's on tonight's agenda. If anyone would care to make a comment, please come to the microphone. I think we got that one over there. Okay, and push the little button on the bottom to start it and give us your name and address for the record.
All right, my name is Mark Huntington, 5000 Continental Drive here in Butte. Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'm speaking in reference to the Council Commissioners' approval of recommendation to award the RFP for development of 123, 125, and 135 East Park Street to Luke Anderson and Up Top. As I said, my name is Mark Huntington. I'm the owner of the Copper T. It is a screen printing business here in Butte. We work with and have printed shirts for many businesses here in town, including Luke Anderson and Up Top. As many of you know by the U on the front of about every other hat and T-shirt, that they've been a huge success story, not only here in Butte, but much farther than that as well. I've had the luck of being able to print for Up Top for the last 7 years, and they're a major part of my business and its success. We currently have 8 employees, and my business would not have grown to the size it is now without Up Top's success. I think that it's an incredible opportunity for the piece of land on Park Street to be used for their proposal. Luke and all the people involved with Up Top have the success of Butte, and especially Uptown Butte, as a priority on their minds. They have contributed to this community not only in supporting local businesses like mine, but have donated time, money, and a lot of effort to making Butte a better place. And this proposal they have made is certainly part of that effort. I think that we would be remiss to not do everything possible to cement their presence in Uptown Butte and to approve the recommendation from Up Top. Thanks.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to make a comment on any item that's on tonight's agenda?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Rick Anderson. I'm a retired attorney. I've practiced here for about, close to 40 years before retirement. Raised my family here. In a note of transparency, I am the uncle of Luke Anderson and Colt Anderson, and also I'm very good family friends with Ross Richardson's family. But one thing that I wanted to say, another thing for transparency, I am not an investor, so I'm not here to talk as an investor. My wife and I are not investing in it, but I understand they do have local investors. I would like to point out to the commissioners a little history on Up Top Clothing. It was actually originated in Missoula, Montana, when my nephews were going to school there, and then Luke came back, finished his college at Montana Tech, and then went back and was working in Missoula when they came up with this idea, and he was selling shirts out of the back on the trunk of his car. I think it's commendable. They do most of their business on the internet, is my understanding. They also sell to various retailers as well. But this is a business that could have, and sometimes with the younger people, likely would have stayed in Missoula. But Luke and Colt wanted to bring it back to Butte. They have been successful here. They promote Butte. As the young gentleman here just said, they do work with local businesses here. And, the future is not old guys like me for this community. The future is young people, and young people that want to have a business here and want to continue to improve our community. And so that is just the only point I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Anybody else care to make a comment on tonight's agenda?
Madam Chair, County Commissioners, Anthony Lazovich, 94 Burning Tree Lane. I am a senior civil engineer, water and environmental technologies. I am also wanting to speak on behalf of Communication 521, 123 to 135 East Park Street. First off, on behalf of WET, we would be a proponent of all 3 proposals that were put forth for any development in Uptown Butte, due to the fact that we're in the business of development, and we are headed in our corporation office in Butte, Montana. Moreover, we have met with Luke Anderson and his team over the last 3 months. They came to us early on once this opportunity was put out for request for proposal. They became educated. They wanted to know the process. They wanted to know how things worked, how an investment of this magnitude gets brought together. And
Here you go.
don't touch it, okay.
Don't touch it.
I've been impressed with their ability to become educated, to set this project up for success. And over those few months, we've come a lot closer to be able to assemble a project team. And they're at a point where they want to start requesting qualification packets from contractors and get pricing, solidify numbers. It's very challenging for them to do that once they currently don't have the property. I am a proponent of the awarding of this to Luke Anderson and his group. That will allow the consulting team that they have tentatively assembled to move forward with further requesting qualification packets from contractors, further pinning down the finances that further allows them to start establishing milestone dates and finance packages. And they're very aware of the steps after meeting over the last few months of what a project of this magnitude. I'm grateful that they are willing to invest in Butte, Montana, not only with Uptop, but creating space on a mixed use that will inevitably bring additional businesses, additional housing to Uptown Butte, which are all positive things. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Jason Davis, Principal Partner at SMA Architecture and Design. I am also here today to voice support for Communication 2022-521 for Luke Anderson and Uptop's team. Like Anthony, here to offer a slightly different perspective on this, and that this team approached us several months ago to help them through the process of what could this project be. And I only tell you that so that you know that their planning is sound, their pricing is sound at this point, as much as it can be, of course, without a contractor on board. But certainly we and our firm have been working with them to ensure that their goals are realistic, their design ideas are realistic, their costs as we know them today are realistic. In addition to that, I feel pretty strongly as an architect that this project obviously meets many, if not all, of the goals of Uptown Butte's master plans, our urban revitalization that we are trying to accomplish in Uptown Butte. Certainly this project will be designed to fit within the historic fabric and architecture of Uptown Butte. And as an architect that does this, frankly, all around the state with many different developers, one of the biggest challenges I see with most developers in mixed-use projects is finding that one anchor tenant. And what is incredibly unique about their proposal is having that one incredibly unique and very strong and very loved anchor tenant in Butte, America. And certainly Uptop is that. We all know that. Having that anchor tenant, in my opinion, and from what I've seen working with other developers across the state, will make this project successful from the beginning. Certainly development on those sites of this magnitude would also help to spur further development along that part of Uptown Butte. So again, I would strongly encourage you to support this, as I believe the idea is very strong, it's very sound, and would be excellent for Uptown Butte. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake.
Hello, I'm Helen O'Connor Joyce. My address is 3520 White Way here in Butte. I'm also the owner of Hellfire and Brimstone Embroidery, which is located at 1341 Harrison Avenue. And I'm also here to speak in support of Luke Anderson's project. I spend most of the time in my embroidery shop working for Luke and Uptop. My business started primarily to support them. They were my only client at the beginning in 2014. And I've had a front row seat watching their business grow year after year in amazing fashion. My business has also grown. I had one employee to start, my sister, and I currently have 12 active employees. So it's been astounding. And they stay below the radar, but they're really an amazing company. And this project is a natural next step for the growth of their company and their positive impact on Butte. His East Park project should be approved, as it will be a jewel on East Park Street and spark additional development on this block. It was the best project that resulted from the RFP process for a reason, and I don't have to tell any of you how it will have a positive impact on the tax base for Butte-Silver Bow. The transition of land in question from BSB and nonprofit ownership to private ownership is the best possible outcome for Butte, Silver Bow, and the community of Butte. The project will pay dividends for years to come. So I urge you to approve the project, and I predict that you will be astounded by what Uptop is able to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on any item on tonight's agenda? Going once, Okay, thank you very much for your comments. All right, we moving into section 1. This is bid openings, public hearings, and/or presentations. Oh, I was going to ask for proof of publication.
Madam Chair, there is proof of publication for the public hearing, and it does appear to be in order.
Thank you. That's communication number 2022-502. Thank you for that. Ann Shea, Deputy County Attorney, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher accept grant funding for the Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Program, RSAT, in our local detention facility, and to schedule a public hearing for October 19th, 2022 regarding this unanticipated revenue. We have Ann in the audience. We have somebody to recommend. County Attorney Joyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, the council already authorized the ability to accept the grant funding for the Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Program in the detention center. The public hearing is now required to accept this unanticipated revenue, and this program has been existing in the detention center for several years, and it allows inmates to receive treatment while they are incarcerated, and helps to assist them in when they're released to be able to continue to use the treatment that they received in the jail to hopefully remain sober and law-abiding. And so we would now hope that the unanticipated revenue resolution would then be passed in order to have this program continue.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. Are there any questions for the County Attorney on this item before we open up the public hearing? Nope, okay. All right, at this time, I open up the public hearing. The first call is for proponents. I would ask for any proponents to come before us if there are any comments to be made in favor of this. Second call for proponents. Third and final call for proponents. Now I move on to opponents. Anybody that would be opposed to this project going forward, wishing to make a comment in opposition. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. All right. Public hearing has been closed. Thank you. All right. Now we are on section 2. This is our consent agenda, A 1 through 4. And B 1 through 16, and as I stated before, the 2 that were added on we'll do separately. Are there any segregations or friendly amendments? Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to add a friendly amendment to Section 3, communication number 2022-12. I believe that should be communication number 2022-512.
Okay, so noted. Are there any other segregations or friendly amendments? All right. Seeing none, Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve Section 2 of the consent agenda, A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 16.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Section 2 consent agenda, A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 16. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Okay, now we're going to add in the 2 items that we had suspended the rules for, and we'll begin with 2022-525. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communication number 1, number 2022-512. Oh,
525.
525, sorry. Just 1 second. Communication number 2022-525. Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher requesting authorization for Tim Leahy with the United States Forest Service to give a presentation at the October 26, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting to provide an update on the fuel reduction program in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest.
We have a motion and a second to authorize Tim Leahy to come before us on October 26, 2022, to provide an update on the fuel reduction program in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest. Anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. The second item we're adding on is 2022-526. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Communication number 2022-526 is a communication from Community Development Director Karen Birds requesting authorization for the Chief Executive to sign a film agreement with Bongo LLC to film at the original mine yard. I move to concur and place communication number 2022-526 on file.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place communication 2022-526 on file. Anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. All right, so now we're off to section 3. This is communications to be read and acted upon. The first item is item 1, communication number 2022-512. J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence in the appointment of Elizabeth Worm, 1304 West Gold, Butte, Montana, 59701, as Director of Human Resources. Anyone to speak here on behalf of Mr. Cambridge, our Chief of Staff?
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of J.P. Gallagher, I know he'd like to be here tonight, but we wanted to express his overwhelming support for the selection of Elizabeth, I call her Beth, Worm, as permanent director for the Human Resources Division of Butte-Silver Bowl. Wanted to relate to you that she went through a very arduous and very intense process. There were over 18 applicants, once again, for that position. And I can attest for her diligence and her skills, because I've spent the last 2 weeks with her in negotiations with separate unions over the last few weeks. And her skills are extremely, extremely good. So on behalf, we urge your support for her selection as the Human Resource Director for Butte-Silver Bowl. Thank you.
Okay. We won't make you talk, Beth. I also want to say that Beth has always been very friendly, helpful, and she's got her work cut out for her, I'm sure. So, Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur and place communication number 2022-512 on file.
Second. We have a motion and a second to concur with communication 2022-512 and place this on file. Anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay. Congratulations, Beth. It's official, you can get to work. Okay, thanks. All right, moving along here, item 2 is communication number 2022-521. J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners approval of recommendation to award the RFP for development of 125 to 135 East Park Street to Luke Anderson. And I would open this up for discussion. The reason I put this to be read and acted upon so that we can have discussion amongst ourselves or of anybody in the audience. So, oh, excuse me. I am a lefty. I should have looked to the left first. Commissioner Thatcher, thank you. And then Commissioner Reardon, and then Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'll just come out and say I wholeheartedly support the recommendation of Luke Anderson and Up Top. I know that this whole process has been a bit much, I guess you could say. And I feel like, it didn't necessarily go the way some of us thought it would, or we don't always all agree with the process of things, but I think that the outcome of it has gotten us to a good place. And I think with the investment that Uptop's willing to make, the investment that Uptop's already made in our community is something to behold. And that's why, firstly, I just want to say my entire support for this. Now, just really quick, I have a question for Director Burns.
Okay. Director Burns, floor is yours. Commissioner Thatcher.
Director Burns, could you tell me what the agreement is with the Rest Commission, like their part in this agreement?
Director Burns.
Thank you, Chairman Shaw, members of council, Commissioner Thatcher. So the way that this would flow is that if approved tonight, the mission has agreed to donate their property to Butte-Silver Bow. So what that would mean is we would introduce a resolution to accept the donation of the property that they own. And then Butte-Silver Bow would then accept the money from the developer. If approved tonight, that would be from the Anderson proposal. And then we would transfer that property to their ownership through an additional resolution.
Right. Anything further, Commissioner Thatcher? Commissioner Reardon, and then Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been here a short time on the commission and all that, and we've had some controversy and all that, and I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade. I believe that this is one of the best things that has happened with the outcome for the Andersons and for Butte. As Commissioner Thatcher stated and all that, this has been a very controversial thing, and this has to be settled basically between the executive and the commissioners themselves. I think that this is a great thing for Butte. I went to school with Rick, and Rick is right. It's time for the new people on the block to start doing things. And I think my biggest fear was basically we were going to have one of these investors come in and all that and basically do business, let's put it not the Butte way, let's put it that way. So I want to congratulate, and I'm kind of a tough nut to crack because basically I'm a stubborn Irishman, but when you really look at this, I think it's a real positive scenario and that everybody can grow off of it. So I'm really happy that it turned out this way, and I also want to, we were at one the meeting one night, and they had demoed the buildings and all that, and Commissioner Thatcher, I think it was about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, where she stood up and she goes, well, where there's dust, there'll be flowers growing one day and all that. So I think that this is the flowers we have are the Andersons, and I want to wish them all the luck in the world. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to follow up on all the comments from the public and, Commissioner Thatcher, Commissioner Reardon, and I know the Anderson family for a long time, and I know Luke and them worked real hard to get where they're at today, and this is a real positive thing for Butte. And I just want to kind of disclose that, everyone thought the bid process was, high bid this, high bid, low bid. This proposal was a best use project, and anyone that was here or anyone that's seen the proposals that were presented the night that they were sent here by the Finland Hotel and the Platt family and the Anderson team, they far outplayed everybody in that game. And maybe they weren't the highest bidder on the property, they were a little less money, but their proposal far outweighs anything was set in front of us. And I'm super excited to have them move forward with the project. I'm super excited to see SMA Architects. I'm excited to see WET, local companies. We see 2 local companies here that are hiring employees, This is what happens, and like Rick Anderson said and John Reardon said, it's the young people moving in, and the sooner the Butte starts letting this kind of stuff happen, the more our community will prosper, and some of us people that are getting a little age on us hope to see some of it before they have to plant fires on top of us sometimes. So I fully support this project, and if anyone has any other comments, if not, I would certainly make a motion to approve communication 2022-521. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to thank everybody that came up here tonight and told us what a great deal this is, and I agree totally. I'm 100% behind you, but I hate to be the bad guy in the room. I don't know who can answer this, if it's Danette or Karen or whatever, but when the mission donates this property to Butte-Silver Bowl, what happens to the close to $150,000 that they owe for the demolition? Who absorbs that? Whoever could answer that, please.
Director Gleason? I see you're offering your assistance.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Callahan, so since the Rescue Mission is donating the land, then the funds that up top is paying for the land will go to offset those costs of the demo that have been spent by Public Works on the project. The remaining portion will be covered for now by Community Enrichment's budget, so general fund budget. But as was stated here earlier tonight, it'll be in excess once the property's on the tax rolls and going. The tax revenue generated from these properties will be well over $100,000. So those additional funds, not though ready available today, we have to look at potential growth and future growth, because right now the property wasn't generating any tax revenue. There was no tax revenue from the nonprofit status on the taxes, and then as Butte-Silver Bow's ownership of the other properties, there was no tax being generated.
Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan? Other questions? Comments? So we have a motion and a second to approve Communication 2022-512. I will make a comment. This whole thing has been painful in a lot of ways from the beginning. It has nothing to do with the proposal. I am so excited about the prospect of up top taking this on. You guys have a lot of youth going on over there, and a lot of energy, and I appreciate that completely. But since the beginning, I have had issues with the process, not the proposals. And I just lose sleep thinking about a lot of the items that we've had to go through and think about. I still feel that to make the taxpayers whole, you don't wait for the future. The tax rules, it's going to put it back on there, and I know that that's a given. I would hope that's a given with the success of this business. But the immediate numbers that I see outweigh that, in my personal opinion. And the legislative branch is the community. We represent the community, and we are the oversight of the community, for the community. And we also hold the purse strings in the community. And it concerns me, and it's just bothered me since the beginning that we just are not addressing the elephant in the room in a way, is that there is not an immediate remedy to these monies, this taxpayers' money, being taken care of. And I don't like the way it looks to the public. I mean, we haven't done anything illegal. I would never tell Ms. Burns that she did anything illegal at all. But I feel like the process was flawed, and I don't know how to fix that, to be honest. But my concern is making the taxpayers whole. That is my whole goal. And then, of course, a wonderful business to go into that empty space. And I don't know the resolution there, but I would be most remiss to say that I would approve this based on the fact that the taxpayers are not being made whole immediately, and which could be done if the rescue mission was to, I believe that I heard statements made by staff that would happen through the rescue mission. I'm not sure exactly how, but it seems to me that that's the logical way this should have gone. And I would not disapprove at all of this project, but I do disapprove of the process in many ways. And I think the taxpayers need to hear that. So that's just my comment. If anybody else has anything on the question, I would invite it. Excuse me, Commissioner Thatcher, Commissioner Anderson, and then Commissioner Thatcher. Thank you. And Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Sorry, my normal eloquent self isn't so eloquent these days, as most of you know. Anyway, I too am very disappointed with this process. I believe that there were a lot of things said and some promises made by the chief executive how this would play out, and I don't really feel like they played out that well, as a lot of us anticipated on this body. That being said, I wish the process was a little bit different. I feel bad that the taxpayers aren't being made whole. They're the ones who elected myself and the 12 of us up here. And we are, at the end of the day, held responsible by them for our actions that we take here. And I've always tried to be a good steward of that and take that very much into consideration in my decisions. And I will do so today with some reservations. I'm not sure how I feel on this. I've missed a lot of the discussions when I was in the hospital, unfortunately. I missed the presentations, but everything I heard. Andersons, you have done a fabulous job with your proposal. I support your business 100%. I have great pride when I see any of your hats and merchandise. I've seen it in Arizona. I didn't see any in Washington when I was there the last few weeks, but that can be remedied. But anyway, I've seen it all over Montana. I've seen it at Boy State quite a bit. The young kids are wearing it with pride, and like a lot of people said, this is a young person's game. And like Commissioner Thatcher said, you know, we want to have flowers. I'm glad there's not any on top of me today. But the thing is that we need to have flowers, but we also need to take care of the people who put us here. And so I'm trying to make my mind up on what's the best way to do that. One of the main questions sorry for the stutter, but one of the main questions I do have is that what kind of insurance do we have? And I guess this will be for Karen Burns, if she can answer it for me. I've seen a lot of properties that have been bought by people with work to be done, and I do have the utmost faith in you to achieve these goals and to do it. And I know that your company is doing great, and it's really helping a lot of the businesses in Butte. So I really want to support it, but I want to make sure that we are protected. I know we recently sold a building on Broadway Street that has a big for sale sign. That's disappointing to me, and I know other buildings around that we have sold to people that are currently being sold and not used for their intended purposes when we handed over the deeds. So I wonder if there's any kind of clawback in this proposal, or what guarantees do we have? What happens if they're unable to raise the funds or are unable to complete this project?
Director Burns?
What happens to the property then? Are we going to see a for sale sign, or do we have a way to take that back?
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw, Chairman Shaw, Bill Anderson, Commissioner Anderson. I'm glad to see you're back, and members of council. So I don't have a crystal ball into the future, so I don't know what will happen with their business. But I can say that what we would do is, in the resolution of sale, we will put in conditions that should be met. And if those aren't met, we would have some sort of recourse. But I don't know how those conditions will be exactly written. I will work with County Attorney Joyce to draft that resolution, and that will come before this body. So that resolution will come before this body as a resolution of sale, and it will have conditions in that. And we have done that multiple times on properties. So I think I answered the question that you had. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Thatcher and Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand where everybody's coming from as far as worrying about the taxpayers. But I think that our greatest concern of the taxpayers are so often we hear about, why can't we grow? When are we going to get shopping? When are we going to get retail? Right now, we are being given an opportunity, whether the road was rocky to get here or not. We are literally being given an opportunity to either hinder our growth or to grow. And the vote is being left up to us right now, tonight, on that opportunity. So I would hope that everybody takes that into consideration. But just really quick, Madam Chair, I just asked to ask Director Gleason, the taxpayers being made whole, I mean, could you touch on that?
Director Gleason.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Thatcher, Commissioners, remember and recall that we also had $25,000 from the original sale or the original settlement on the property. So you add that into the cost or the development that's been offered tonight, and if the resolution goes through, of another $56,000 or $57,000. So you add those together. The county is probably right now out $120,000 max, $120,000. I need to bring to all of your attention that that's not uncommon for this local government. You stand here and approve resolutions for development packets and development sales all the time. And $120,000 is not uncommon. That has happened over and over and over again before this council. Also, you approve URA loans, or you see expenditures, not approved, but you see expenditures coming before you for grants on URA grants or TIFID grants, whatnot, to try and entice business to do exactly what this development packet is doing tonight, and that's to entice growth for future tax base and future revenue. We try to have land sales, we try to have our auctions, we try to develop these properties to get them back on the tax rolls and do good developments for our community. Not only getting them on the tax rolls, but you heard tonight the growth of the company and how it's growing an employment base and how they moved. We talked about this many times over the last few weeks about how important it is to have businesses in our community and the growth. And here it is right here. They moved back from Missoula to be in Butte and to grow. So tax base is one, making whole is another, but we also have to look at the growth and the development of the employment base. So many elements are being addressed here, and I just want to point out, you've done this over and over again. This is not new, and this is not the first time that this has happened, and it's not $120,000 difference with future potential. That's only 1 year, less, a little over 1 year. Well, actually, I calculated out when I was sitting back there. It's $125,000 on $7 million today. So you're going to get a return in 1 year when they're up and fully developed. And you're going to get a return as soon as the property's put in their name. It's going to go on the tax rolls. And they're going to pay SIDs. And they're going to pay lighting SIDs and hydrant SIDs. And they're going to pay road SIDs. They're going to pay everything. It's going to be on the tax rolls.
Director Burns.
Thank you, Chairman Shaw and members of council. I just wanted to add just one more thing. If we wouldn't have put the proposal out the way that we did in a joint venture with the rescue mission, I don't know if this might help you with your decision. But as terms, if we wouldn't have put it out as a joint proposal with them, the way that we have proposed to be done tonight, we would be marketing one small lot, a 30 by 100 foot lot for Butte-Silver Bow's sake. The rescue mission would be then marketing their properties for their sake. We would not have the opportunity for this development to occur in the way that it's occurring. The way that it's occurring tonight with us in partnership, we get to have a say as a local government as to what happens and how it's developed and what gets put there and how it looks. That's why this is such a great opportunity in my mind, and so I really just wanted to clarify that just a little bit more for anyone who might have a question. Thank you.
Commissioner O'Neill and Commissioner Mankins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. So I just wanted to reference a few things that we've kind of touched on, so maybe a little bit of piggybacking, but, you know, we're begging for new businesses, begging for new growth in Butte, and especially for, you know, this can be a great opportunity from, you know, again, as this was said, from local Butte kids that moved away and moved back, and I mean, it fits everything we could ever imagine. So I just, you know, I don't, we fight it so bad, and we can, you know, him and haw in every which direction on whether we're making them whole. I mean, and the process, I mean, I don't know if you can really have a textbook process for this situation. I mean, it's pretty much impossible. You get a crappy building back, you get a couple bucks from, you know, you guys know the story. I mean, this process is hard, but again, as it was said, this is a great deal that's going to come before us. It's going to, my God, that block's going to look fantastic. Maybe the praxis, maybe this will help the praxis grow. Say that jokingly out of both sides of my mouth, and pray to God it does. But big deal. Very excited for the guys that are going to make this happen. We can, hey, are they going to fail? I don't know. They've been pretty successful. They know a lot of good people and good places to make this deal happen, and I feel like they're full steam ahead, so it's going to be really, really cool. Also, why I got the time, you guys' ears, you know, I just want to mention Broadway. You know, it sold for $1. Remember the poor building there, right? The Northwestern Energy building. We traded, got a beautiful building, okay, on the corner. Growth, you know, it was like the great positive of what happened. This beautiful building. You guys are aware of that awesome building across the street from the Party Palace, whatnot. So we could have, everyone in here could have bought that building for $1. We all had the opportunity to do that, right? So the ones that are for sale, right, aren't the whole development. The whole building's not for sale. And anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's an opportunity. Hopefully some rich people or somebody buy that and develop that, right? Like, that's the whole idea of that. Like, it's a positive thing, you know? I mean, it's bringing more people in here to make it happen. So, again, only people with money could do that, the old Northwestern Energy building. So, I mean, it even looks nicer too, right? I mean, I know we sit in here and we bang our heads against the wall about what should be, but we gotta look positive. And this is good stuff. I mean, we're begging for this. Let's keep begging, congratulate, make it happen, and let's go. So thank you.
Commissioner Shea. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Mankin, you're first, excuse me. And then Commissioner
Thank you,
Shea.
Madam Shaw. I just wanted to say this is a great thing for Butte. I think after, you know, Karen Burns and Finance Director Gleason has come up and talked about the finance aspect of it to set our minds at ease. And then when Karen Burns, Community Development Director, assured us the development plan, and seeing right from the get-go for the last 2 to 3 months that Mr. Lazovich and Mr. Davis have been working with them in order to assure, as Mr. Lazovich stated, milestones, and these milestones will still be put into place to make sure this happens, and kind of guides them along. And those are 2 trusted, invested people that are here, that have worked and developed different buildings like this from the ground up. So, you know, they're in good hands. So this is going to be a great thing, and these milestones will be met, and it'll be a great day with that opening to cut that ribbon down. So congratulations, and with me, I have a full support of this to award this property. So thanks again for investing back in Butte.
Commissioner Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't really think that the question is whether or not we're going to support this. We all know we're going to support this. It's really important for Uptown Butte. It's really important for the Anderson family. It's a really good thing all the way around. I also don't think it's should come as a surprise to anybody that council's asking questions about how to recover the demolition costs, because that was a big part of the discussion. If you go back, I don't know what you guys did over the weekend, but I spent the weekend re-listening to council meetings and brushing up on what was said and what wasn't said. That being said, I don't want to hold the Anderson family hostage to our rickety processes and our misunderstandings of one another. And I just think the best thing we can do right now is call for the vote and push this proposal forward. I think we already have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we're good. So anything further on the question? Commissioner Fisher, and then we will call for the vote.
Thank you, Chairman Shaw. I just hope that we can continue in Butte-Silver Bow to look out the windshield instead of the rearview mirror, because I'm telling you, I've served on this council for 10 years now, and it takes time to get anything done. So calling for the vote's the best thing we do right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Would everyone please vote? And would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 1 nay.
10 yea, 1 nay. Oh, okay. All right, we'll let you do it this time, John.
11 yea, 0
Oh, you pushed the
nay.
wrong button. 11, I'm sorry, I'll wait for Sadie to make it official.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. All right, congratulations. No pressure, no pressure in you guys, but thank you very much. Okay, all right, moving along, we are now at, let's see here. We are at section 4, ordinances and resolutions introduced to judiciary. Item 1 is 2022-73. I think that's the only one that we have introducing. Section 5, we have ordinances and resolutions for final reading. First item is resolution number 2022-71. Would the clerk please read the title?
A resolution requesting distribution of bridge and road safety and accountability, BARSAA program funds and providing for an effective date herein.
Thank you. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place resolution number 2022-71 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution 2022-71 to final reading. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Item 2 is resolution number 2022-72. Would the clerk please read the title?
A resolution requesting distribution of bridge and road safety and accountability program funds and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place resolution number 2022-72 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution 2022-72 to final reading. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to section 6, ordinances and resolutions for emergency suspension of the rules for final passage. We do have a suspension of the rules, so Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing resolution number 2022-74 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules of Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-74. Would the clerk please read? Oh, excuse me. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for final passage. Sorry. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. And now we're going to have resolution 2022-74 for final passage. Clerk, please read the title.
A resolution establishing the assessment for fiscal year 2023 on the properties included in Special Tourism Business Improvement District Number 1, which was established in 2011 and extended in 2021, for the purpose of promoting tourism, conventions, trade shows, and travel, to the City County of Butte-Silver, Montana, and providing for an effective date herein.
Thank you. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place resolution number 2022-74 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to move Resolution 2022-74 to final reading. Would everyone please vote? And would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Okay, would everyone please note the calendar of events coming up? And at this point in time, I would call for any public comment on any matter not on tonight's agenda. If anyone would like to come before us. Ms. Resilien.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm Mitzi Resilien. I live at 815 West Granite. I'm coming to talk to you about a matter that you might think was on the agenda because that was about Luke Anderson's proposal. I'm not talking about Luke Anderson's proposal. What I want to talk about is what the commissioners were in support, or about issues were raised by councilmen concerning this particular development and how this development came about. I cannot agree with comments that say that the circumstances that have happened were unfortunate or a rocky road, because what I see was an outrage. They don't do justice to what I think was an outrageous irregularities that the county and staff went through in order to make this particular project happen. I'm not saying this was predetermined, but everything that was done, from the methodologies for advertising the bids, when for 16 years we have used a process called the developer's packet, and the developer's packet was not used in this particular case. The mixing up of Butte-Silver and private property, another irregularity we have never seen before. I won't talk about making the taxpayers whole, but from the very beginning there was a talk about whether or not we would pay the mission to give us the property for $35,000 or something like that. And now we hear that the mission is donating it. It's like we came back to the very beginning, what people were talking about in the very beginning, in a very convoluted way. When we say that Up Top got this property and this allowed them to do it, I would say Up Top could have, and very possibly would have, come back to the community and gone someplace else in the community, not in this particular place. What was special about this place? We essentially cleared the decks for them. We made it so absolutely possible that they could do it at essentially a reduced price, but at a sacrifice of some historic buildings. So I ask you to think about, Commissioner Fisher, you said we should not be looking backward, we should be looking forward. I am looking forward, and what I see is no end to irregularities in order to accomplish development that is put over the value of historic buildings in this community. So by that I say, are there going to be future demolitions that are going to be managed by putting another party's development interests into the void where those buildings were once stood? I see nothing in the way this process has gone that will eliminate the possibility of this going forward again and again and again in our uptown area. And until we stick to tried and true methods of doing business, developer's packet, making sure that what is asked for when there's a demolition is the price of the demolition to come back to the county. We are not asking people to do joint deals between public and private or donations of property. We will continue to see a danger to our historic buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment on any item that is not on tonight's agenda? Okay. Seeing none, I would call for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Oh, excuse me, and Commissioner Reardon, what would you like to have to say there?
I would like to wish Sadie all the luck in the world. She's somebody special. Sometimes she brought us out of basically the doldrums and all that with her cookies, her smile, and everything like that. And now Ross is the boss. So I wish you all the luck in the world and appreciate everything you did. Thanks.
You set the, yeah. Sadie set the bar really high for Ross. He's going to have to get a lot prettier, let's just say that. All right. We wish you the best, Sadie. You're going to be good at whatever you do. You've just got that energy, so, yeah. Okay. Oh, Commissioner Shea. Yes, you may.
As a way for everybody in the entire community to honor Sadie, I would encourage you to make sure you have a plan to vote. Sadie has been very, very helpful. She supplied me with a whole stack of voter registration forms to take to my day job and provide those to people and educate them on voting and making a plan to vote. And I could not have done it without Sadie's education to me. So as a way to honor Miss Sadie, get out there and vote.
Okay. You go, girl. All right, we're adjourned.